right, hello wine drinking people. Today is Friday, April 5th. We're going to be taking down 100 wines tonight at the Museum of Discovery and Science event. And one of the big events we do. We don't focus on 1,000-person events. It's just too big. But hey, we like to party every once in a while, just like you guys. And next week we've got a lot of nice events going on. We've got our Chardonnay tasting at the Edge, which featuring 8 Chardonnays from around the world. Should be an education for those of you that like Chardonnay. And then we've got our first tasting at Cafe Max, our Australian tasting, to kick things off, and featuring Penfolds wines there. And I'm sorry if I'm not that excited about those two events, but Valentini on Friday night. These are the reason I get out of bed in the morning. Wines like this, and I'll never forget the first Valentini wine that I ever tried, the 1984 Trebbiano. Trebbiano is a simple white grape, and to think, I mean, this was like 20 years ago, but even then the wine was old. It was on the closeout list, and man, I just remember thinking this was like Le Montrachet. The wine was so concentrated, so rich, so complex, just incredibly youthful, even though it was like 15 years, 20 years old at that point, and on a closeout list. Well, Valentini is one of the most sought-after producers in Italy. Eduardo Valentini never traveled to the United States. He never did much to promote his wine in Italy. He was somewhat of a recluse. If you'd want, to make plans to come and visit him, he would say no 9 out of 10 times. You'd really have to be insistent, and you'd have to be passionate about his wine, and you could go and visit him, but he was very secretive about how he made his wines. And if you asked too many questions, he didn't like that at all. And he's a big grower, so, he's one of the few people that doesn't make wine every year. As a matter of fact, in the 80s, he only made wine 5 times. That's right, 5 vintages of Montepulciano in the 80s, because he said, you know what? The other half of the time, the wine is just not worth my time to make it and put my label on it. So to me, one of the highest standards for quality, and somewhat of a paradox, because this comes from one of the lowliest areas in all of Italy. That's right, yes, Paul Castronovo. I know you have a wine from the same area, and it is very nice, although it's from a co-op. This is a big grower, but a very small producer. Valentini only kept his best grapes to make his wine. And like I said, for the most part, I mean, they make a lot of wine in Abruzzi, and they make a lot of not so great wine in Abruzzi. Good wine that's meant for everyday consumption, but there's not a lot of benchmarks here. Last year at this event, we showed the 1975 Montepulciano. The fill was all the way down to here, and we had a perfect bottle of Emilio Beppe, the next great producer in Montepulciano and Abruzzi. And I have to say, man, it did not hold a candle to the low fill Valentini, which was the wine of the night, the 75. Absolutely spectacular. And tonight, we got a vertical selection of Trebbiano going back to 1996. And we've got a vertical selection of Montepulciano going back to 1988. We've showed this 88 before. Is it liquid? Is it solid? I love Stephen Tanzer's review of these red wines. They are just so incredibly big. And this is a wine that just needs decades in the cellar. It is kind of a shame we're opening up the 2006. But hey, this is all for experimental purposes. And those of you that have never tried Italy's greatest wine, I encourage you to sign up for this one. Only $175 a person? How does he do it? That's less than one bottle of any of the red wines cost for this, and we're going to serve you dinner here at the Wine Watch a week from tonight. Check it out. I'm your host, Andrew Lamposoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.